The fall and expulsion from the garden. The sixth panel depicts the beginning of original sin, and it is actually two events divided in the center by the tree of good and evil, with a serpent wrapped around it. In it, we have humanity bringing death into creation, through the seductive invitation offered by the demonic, who gives them the means of disobedience. You'll notice Eve in the passive, submissive state receiving the fruit, and Adam in an active state depicted either taking the fruit or failing to protect Eve. The emphasis regardless is in Adam's role in original sin as active participant. You'll also notice the gesture of their hands depicts the act being done with a single finger outstretched. This is in reference to the earlier panels we see where the finger of God is creating the sun and the moon and giving intellect to man. This finger represents the power to be like God. With it, man is expelling God from their heart and using it not like God to create life and relationship, but to remove the inner innocence God had given them to protect their finite existence from its frailty. We can see this contrast with the expulsion from the Garden of Eden, where once man has invited death into creation, he can no longer live in the paradise of abundant life. A kind of cosmic shame begins, where their vulnerability in the face of nature is made apparent. This disconnect from their ability to communicate in self-giving to God, man's relationship with the woman is also affected. Eve now cowers in shame for fear that she will be made the object of concupiscence, which resulted from man opening his heart to the world when he had closed his heart to the Father. And in this, sexuality became an obstacle to man's ability to relate to the woman and the interior gaze between the sexes. Man can no longer give himself to God, obstructed by concupiscence to give himself to the woman. Shame is the resulting manifestation of the desire to protect the awareness of original innocence. His desire for the world has left him wanting to possess her as another object of the world, and so God warns Eve that man will dominate you. In context, the words of Genesis 3:16 are, "Your desire shall be for your husband, but he will dominate you." John Paul II explains that man ought to have been from the beginning the guardian of the reciprocity of the gift and its true balance. The analysis of the beginning shows precisely that the man's responsibility, welcoming femininity as a gift and in receiving it in a mutual, two-sided exchange. It is in open conflict with the exchange to take from the woman her own gift by concupiscence. When explaining concupiscence, John Paul II says, "Concupiscence in general, and the concupiscence of the body in particular, attacks precisely the sincere gift. It deprives man, one could say, of the dignity of the gift, which is expressed in his body, through feminine or masculine, and in some sense depersonalizes man, making him an object for the other." You will notice how Michelangelo has depicted this loss. This loss is shown by drawing them now uglier, since the beauty the human body possesses is an expression of the spirit, while the corruption of the spirit by means of concupiscence has invited corruption to the body. Also, subtly portrayed in the posture of the couple in the temptation is how by means of this appropriation, the gift of childbirth was rejected. The very goodness of existence is aborted. Adam and Eve reject the rich reciprocal gift of self in its sensual language of unitive sex for the exchange of a sensuality that bears no genitive fruit.